Hi everyone, it's me, C Lefty Run, with my Berlin Marathon race recap. Here's the medal. Isn't it pretty? It's like one of my favorite ones. I think Boston is my overall favorite medal because what it took for me to get there, but this is a close second. So pretty. And then look on the back. I normally write my time and everything on the back, the date I ran, but the back is also pretty. I don't want to mess it up. I think I'm going to have it engraved, right? I think I earned that. Like, get the darn thing engraved. So, and you know what bugs me is this like little black mark on it right there. Oh, well, some people got at the finish, some people got medals from the roller skating marathon the day before you can roller skate through the marathon. And then some people got a volunteer medal. So I shouldn't be complaining because I got the right medal. All right. So let's get into it. Largest race in the history of races. Did you know that? 54,000 finishers. So for its 50th anniversary, it wanted to have at least 50,000 finishers. They even extended the finish time for people to finish so they can reach their number. So normally the cutoff is like 6 hours or 6:30. They extended that and let a lot of people finish. In fact, I was going out to dinner that night and roads were still closed. So anyway, I finished in 3 hours and 56 minutes and 26 seconds. I'm actually quite pleased with that time considering how my summer training went. My goal was a sub 3:55. I'm okay that I was a minute and 26 seconds off from that because I felt so good during the whole race. So I'll get into that shortly. I was real close to a negative split too, so close. And I'll explain why I don't think I got my negative split. Okay, so let's start with my arrival. So we got to Berlin, left California Tuesday afternoon, arrived on Wednesday to Berlin. I was exhausted when I got to Berlin. Checked into my Airbnb, which was in Mitte. It looks like it's Mitte. I think it's pronounced Mitte. I meant to look that up before the video, but I forgot to. So it's Mitte, Airbnb, and I really liked it. I liked that I could go to the grocery store nearby and get my own food. So for breakfast, my husband and I would eat in. And because I was trying to carb load at breakfast. And there was a bathtub, which I really like. So many hotels don't have bathtubs. And when I'm trying to prep for a race, I do really enjoy taking a bath in the days leading up to it, especially as you know, my Achilles has been bothering me and warm water seems to help with it. So got some Epsom salts, took a bath like every night prior to the race. It was in a really nice area. There were a lot of restaurants on the street, but it wasn't in the hustle and bustle of the city. To get to the hustle and bustle, which is where the race was, I did have to take a subway, but it was just one stop. So it was great, so easy. And Berlin includes subway passes with your race entry. In fact, it's really hard to stay at a hotel that's like within walking distance of the start because everything's shut down. I think the Westin Grand is probably a pretty good hotel, maybe the Ritz-Carlton if you want to stay super close to the start. Look where the Western Grand is, and I think you can walk from there. That is at least walking distance to the Brandenburg Gate, but the race does not start at the Brandenburg Gate. Anyway, but I thought their subway system, their metro system is amazing. You can get anywhere you need to go. And I'm from California. We don't use those here. So I thought it would be very confusing because whenever I go to New York, I'm like really confused. There, you just would Google map where you wanted to go on your phone, and then it'll tell you exactly what metro to take and what stops to get off at. I was like, this is amazing. So I digress. So I had no problems with the flight. I got extra leg room. My husband's 6'3", so it's like really difficult for him on long flights because he's so tall, but we had plenty of room to stretch our legs. Get this though, you know what happened? So I had plenty of room to stretch my legs, and I go to recline my chair, my seat, and the guy's like, please don't do that behind me. Please don't do that. I don't have enough room now. And I was kind of polite and I was like, okay, and I didn't. And then I thought, you know what? I paid for the extra leg room. On the way back, if someone shouts at me, I'm going to say, sorry, I paid for this. Like, I couldn't believe. And then I saw like an Instagram video about someone sharing that the person behind them wouldn't let them recline their seat. So I just didn't want to argue about it. But looking back, I'm like, I should have just told him, sorry, you're out of luck, dude. Anyway, okay, so no problems with flight. Airbnb was great. Public transportation was great. Um, I'm going to kind of break it down like this. Runs, did I do any running? I did do some running leading up to it. Not as much as I normally do because of the international travel. Unlike Boston, when I went to Boston in April, there was one day when I had like 35,000 steps because with Boston, I want to do everything and I want to go everywhere. And then I'm trying to run. Boston had a lot of anxiety this year. Like I was really trying to hit it out of the park. So I think I just overdid it for Boston, plus with the heat. So for Berlin, I was like, you did international travel. Your sleep is really important. Recovery is really important. Those were my priorities. The running so much wasn't. So I ran Sunday the week of. I think I did like 5 miles. I ran Monday 6 miles. Tuesday was a travel day, didn't run. Wednesday was a travel day, didn't run. Thursday, I ran 5 miles with my husband. We went to Tiergarten Park, which is where they have like the Berlin Marathon Museum. And then Friday, I did a shakeout with Believe in the Run. And that was really fun. That started at 8 a.m. And so my husband and I took a taxi over there. We met my friend Nathan there. And I will always go out and support Believe in the Run because I just think they're a really nice group of people. I told you they took a hot hat to Boston for me. And anytime I've interacted with them, they've always been so nice. I've DM'd them, they always answer my questions. Megan Featherstone was there from Featherstone Nutrition. She's always helped me with my nutrition stuff. It's not like I pay her. She just does it out of the kindness of her heart. So whenever I go to a race and they're there, I always try to go out and support them. And I was talking to Robbie, and he remembered me from Boston, and it's fun, and they had pretzels. So I highly recommend if you ever go to a marathon and they're there, do their shakeout, go and support them. They're a good group of people. Okay, so did the shakeout on Friday. Those were my runs. And then on Friday, I also did a bike tour of Berlin. It was a very easy bike tour with Dan, Leanne, and her significant other, Nick. And so we had a blast on the bikes. Anyway, so that was kind of what I did leading up to the race. I did try to, on the days I didn't have a lot of activity, I tried to keep my steps at around 10,000 or fewer. Saturday, I took it real easy before the race. I didn't do a shakeout or anything. The expo. Okay, so the expo was, I have carb load next, but I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to talk about the expo first. The expo was on Thursday. So my husband and I ran the 5 miles. We then met, we went straight to the expo. It was a zoo. Remember, there's 58,000 people who were registered to run this race. So it took about an hour just to get into the expo. And I went on Thursday, which is typically like the slowest day. I went right when it opened. If I had to do it again, I probably would have gone at like 6 o'clock. But everyone, I think if you're there on a Thursday, you go right when it's open. So you wait in this queue. It's at an airport hangar. You wait through the queue or the line, and that took about an hour. And they give every runner an individual wristband. I'm not sure of the reason behind the wristband when you have the bib, but perhaps it's so you can't give your bib to somebody else. So they check your ID and then they immediately give you a wristband that they sew onto your wrist. And then from that point, you can get into the expo. And once you're in the expo, bib pickup is really cool. They print your bib on the spot. So you don't go through the different, like, I got to find M for Moreno. Let me go in that line. That wasn't how it was. You can go anywhere you wanted to. So I went to the furthest one down, which was the least crowded. And the woman gave me my bib. Here's what's interesting. I took my picture with her because my husband could not go in the expo with me. That's another thing. Bib pickup and whatnot, it's just you. They won't let anyone else in with you. Your significant other or whoever you bring can go to the expo, but they have to enter it through a different way. They're not going to stop people from spending money, right? But they are going to stop people who aren't there to get a bib from getting a bib. So I took a photo with her. And then later that evening, I go home and I'm watching Ben Parks's video on the Berlin Marathon. And he films himself at the expo. And it was the same woman who gave him his bib, also gave me my bib. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's a good omen. More on that later on. So got the bib. I was like, where's my race t-shirt? Where's my race shirt? They're like, oh, you don't get one. You have to order in advance. first marathon I've ever ran that didn't give me a race shirt I was like, oh, I have to get a shirt, right? It's the 50th anniversary. And plus, it's like a world major. So I was like, well, okay. So I go to the Adidas store, Adidas, as it's pronounced in Germany, and the line, hour and 20 minutes. I'm not kidding. It was just as bad as Boston in 2023. So my friend Nathan and I, we waited and we waited and we waited, and you couldn't even find the end of it. It was such chaos. So after an hour and 20 minutes, I got all kinds of gear. I got this, I got a long sleeve shirt, I got my husband a shirt, I got Leanne a shirt, because Leanna's like, I'm not waiting in this. So I was like, well, I am. And I surprised her with a shirt because I'm a nice friend like that. So then after all that, we went out, we had a beer, and we just had a good time. Leanne and Nick and Nathan all went out to dinner. I decided to forego dinner because it was getting late and I didn't want to be out late because I'm tired of like staying up late and then getting up late. It just is a bad cycle for me. Okay, so carb loading started Thursday. I didn't really track my carbs, but for breakfast I would eat muesli, or I would have muesli and those peanut butter crackers. I had a Pop-Tart the day before the race. I had instant oatmeal, 2 packs. So I was just constantly making sure I ate pretzels throughout the day. I made sure every meal had some carbs in it. I ate pasta. I ate pho. Big international scene in Berlin, by the way. If you want Indian food, they got it. If you want Vietnamese food, they've got it. If you want Japanese food, they've got it. In fact, most people in Berlin don't speak German. Everyone speaks English, thank gosh, because I don't speak German. There were some taxi cab drivers that didn't speak German or English. It was crazy. So, so I didn't like track everything down, but I was very mindful of the carbs, so much to where I was like kind of tired of carbs. Also for my drinks, I always put Tailwind. Tailwind makes these big packs, not just the kind you put in, but it's like 300 calories, 800 milligrams of sodium. So I'd put one of those in my water a day. I always had electrolytes in my water leading up. I just made sure I was going to the bathroom frequently and that my urine looked almost clear. So that's how I knew I was hydrated. So yeah, I did that 3 days before. My sleep, it was good. I adjusted to the time change pretty well. And when I arrived, I got into Germany around 2 o'clock, checked in my Airbnb at 3, and then I stayed up till like 10 o'clock that night, which was really hard to do. And then at that point, I was like overtired and I couldn't fall asleep. So the next morning, I didn't wake up till 10 a.m. So anyway, that just goes with the territory of an international run. I told you about the expo already. Okay, race morning. So Saturday night, I went to bed at 9:30. I was watching Selling Sunset on Netflix and I started to get sleepy. I was like, I'm going to go with this and I'm going to go to bed. Did not take any melatonin or anything. And then I slept well. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. before my alarm. My start time was 9:15. I wanted to leave my room by 7:15, get to the start by 8:15, and then like have an hour. So I had 2 packs of instant oatmeal. I didn't bring bagels or anything. I wish I would have brought Pop-Tarts. I forgot to bring those. So anyways, I had 2 packs of instant oatmeal. I had the peanut butter cookie that I got from Clayton Young. Not that he gave it to me, but they're the ones he buys from Costco. I now really like those too. I drank Tailwind with my water. I downed a lot of water, and then I took a banana with me to the start. I also had a caffeinated gel 15 minutes before the start of the race. The Precision. I love the Precision with 100 grams of caffeine. 15 minutes before the race. Took that. I always take this. Let's see. It was 43 degrees. It was wonderful, wonderful weather. Perfect weather. The day before, I found a thrift store because I forgot to bring warm-up sweats. So I got some sweats from the thrift store for $7. And I just cut slits in them so I can put my pants over my shoes. So that's a tip. If you wear sweatpants, just cut them. And then you can just pull them off and on really easily. I had an old hooded sweatshirt from my son, and I cut a slit here so that I could very easily take that off and on, and I just tied the knot. That worked out very well. I had gloves, but it wasn't like 43. It wasn't like miserably cold. It was chilly though. So I was glad to use warm up clothes. When I got there, I was feeling really good leading into this race, and I don't know why. I was feeling very positive. I did some strides. I never do strides before a race, but I had time and I had space, so I did some strides. On the train ride was a quick 15 minutes, and on the train to the start, I saw the bib packet lady. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you gave me my bib." And then I told her the story about then I went home and I watched a YouTube video and it was you, and here you are again. I was like, "You're a good omen. I'm gonna have a good day." And she said, "Well, I'll be at the 20K mark on the course. Look for me." And I go, "I'm gonna look for you." I also that morning, my grandfather popped up on my phone as a memory from my wedding. So I was like, today's going to be a good day. I just felt good. The weather was great. I just kind of my training was terrible. I complained about it all season. It never really turned around. It kind of turned around at the end when the weather cooled off. But I was like, I'm gonna have a good day. I stopped looking at my watch data probably a month before the race. I stopped looking at my HRV. I stopped looking at my sleep. I stopped looking at my VO2 max because it was always crappy all the time. And then it would get in my head. I'd be like, oh, I didn't sleep well, therefore my run isn't going to be good today. Oh, I feel crappy on my run. It must be because of my sleep. So the data wasn't helping me, so I just stopped looking at it, and I'm glad I did. Okay. So anyway, just those are some little positive things. The expo lady, my grandfather. Okay. So my husband drops me off. There's a porta potty next to the drop off. And I go to use it and I was like, the line's a little long. I'm gonna wait till I get into the corrals because surely there will be more porta potties. So I'm walking towards the start and I can't figure it out, but I'm looking like pretty deep in and I don't see any porta potties. So I was like, I better go back to where I got off on the subway and use those porta potties there. And I'm glad I did because the line wasn't very long. So I was like, okay. So I make my way to the starting corrals and it's quite a trek, maybe about a half mile. So from that point to the start, so I'm walking to the start. You go through this park. Men are peeing everywhere all around me on trees. Poor women, right? We can't just drop trow. I was ready to be honest with you. They're peeing everywhere. But I was like, well, that's not fair. They can do that, but we have to wait in these long porta potty lines. Not to mention, they also had urinals for men set up. Nothing for women other than the typical porta potties, which you're sharing a line with men. Now, mind you, Berlin, which is odd, there's a lot less women than there are men. So I'm heading to the corrals and the porta potty, there's only not many porta potties. I mean, at your standard race, Boston has way more porta potties than Berlin had. So I'm like waiting in line, I'm waiting in line, I'm waiting in line. I get in line at like 8:45. My start time's 9:15. Before I know it, it's 9 o'clock, 9:05. The line's not really moving. And I was like, I'm gonna miss my start. And I really wanted to start at 9:15 because the next corral behind me didn't start till 9:45. And that's a big difference, as I learned in Boston. So I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna wet my pants, right? I'm just gonna wet my shorts. TMI, I know, but I've done that before. I won't go number 2 in my shorts, or B, I'm just gonna pull over on course and go to the bathroom. So I get to my corral. I can't even get in the corral. It's crowded. If you've ever been to like a concert when you were a teen, like Lollapalooza, and you're in the mosh pit, that's what it was like getting to the corral. Like I'm literally getting pushed and shoved. I'm like following this guy who I heard him say he was in the D corral too. So I'm like kind of following him. And like he was a big burly guy. So he was getting through. And so therefore I got through. I got to the corral, and as the race started, it started to empty. I had to jump the corral fence to get in where I was supposed to start. So that was kind of a bit of a cluster. I didn't get to do the whole like Berlin thing at the beginning of the race that you see. So whatever, I didn't care. So I'm in my corral. Um, I start the race. I'm happy. I'm feeling good. All of a sudden, it's mile 1. I hear this Tiffany, and I look, and it's Leanne. Leanne is, as you know, I trained with her and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's going ahead as she does. She's quick. And she's chatting with me and I looked at her and I go, you know what, Leah, the marathon rewards patience. I'm trying to be patient because I knew had I tried to run with her at the beginning, I would have ran out of gas. I thought to myself, if I see her later on, like at mile 20, I will try to keep pace with her just so she can carry me to the finish. But I knew, I see, and that was a good decision. I knew it was too early to run with her because I would lose control of my effort. It was really important for me that I ran this by effort because, like Clayton Young says, the marathon rewards patience. And I kept that track in my mind. The marathon rewards patience, the marathon. And then as I was going, I saw my pace was like 8:35 and I was like, I'm going too fast, slow it down. Then I settled in like the 9:10s or something like that. So, yeah, so I had to go to the bathroom pretty bad. And I was all I could think about for the first 5K. Where's the bathrooms? I got to go to the bathroom. Where's the bathroom? I got to go. Should I just go in my shorts? Um, they had one porta potty at like mile 1.5, and it was red. So I was like, I'm not waiting in line for a porta potty. If it's open, I'll jump in. But if it's red, I'm not gonna go in. So right before the first 5K, I had to kind of go off course. There was a series about 4 porta potties and one was green. So I jumped in that. I went real quick. That probably took about 40 seconds. But then it was as I was using the restroom, I realized, oh crap, I did not turn off the auto pause on my watch because I went to the bathroom and it paused. I was like, I always turn auto pause off on my watch so I can get an accurate reading of my race. And I forgot to do that. Wah, wah, wah. So then I was just kind of like, didn't really have an accurate gauge of my race because I knew that auto pause was off in my head. Okay. So, oh, I forgot to tell you what I wore. I wore shorts. I wore Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I have little notes here that I'm referring to. I wore the Tracksmith Berlin shirt, singlet with arm sleeves and Lululemon shorts. And I started with gloves and I shed all my clothing prior to the start and I felt good. I wore the gloves until the 5K and then I took them off. So that, oh, and I also wore my sunglasses. I also made a game time decision to take a handheld because I learned that this race only has water every 5K. And when you're racing with 58,000 people, that sounded disastrous to me. So I was like, I'm going to take a handheld. I'm going to put electrolytes in it. I'm really glad I did that. So just if you run it, I would suggest taking your own hydration. However, the tables weren't that crowded. But I was just glad to not have to make that extra stop at them or to navigate around people. I didn't have to worry about that. For fuel, I had gel flasks. I had 2. I had one flask that held 3 of these. So these are the Enervit gel with 40 grams of carbs. I really love these. So I filled a gel flask with 3 of these and then I carried one in my pocket. So because it only holds 3 and I needed 6. And then in my other gel flask, I put 2 carbonated precision fuel in it. So I had the caffeine separated from just my standard. So I'm glad I used a gel flask for these because they're very liquidy. So when I opened this on course, because I had to have one extra, it literally splashed my whole face. It was like dripping from my hat. And I was like, thank gosh I had the rest of this in a gel flask. The only problem with the gel flask is it was a twist top as opposed to, if you carry hydration, you just squeeze and suck. That wasn't, the gel flask wasn't that way. It was like you had to twist it. And so I was fiddling with it, like trying to do it with my teeth. And then the whole cap was getting loose and I had to screw it back on. So I had to literally pull over and like kind of unscrew it and then take it. And then like I had to stop. And so that was stupid that I didn't figure that out in advance. And the reason I didn't figure out in advance, because when I went on my training runs, I would always take it at the aid stations and we would always stop and chit chat at the aid stations. I had never really practiced the gel flask while running. Stupid, but that's what I did. So anyway, I love the gel flask. It was a great way to manage my fuel. Moving forward, I'm gonna get one where you just pull it with your teeth and you squeeze as opposed to twist and open. So if you think about gel flasks, make sure you can do that. So, Yeah, so all of that worked out for me, just the auto pause and then the gel flask. But the mantra, the marathon rewards patience, like that really kept me grounded. And I thought to myself, I'm going to pick it up at the half if I'm feeling good. I think I decided, and then I got to the half. I was like, wait till mile 16 to pick it up. But I felt really good the whole time. I was conversational. I was able to cheer when people called my name. And that's the experience that I really, really wanted. It's not fun to hit the wall at a marathon like I did at Boston. I was like, I didn't come all the way out to Berlin to hit the wall. The only thing I want to hit is the Brandenburg Gate. And I want to feel good when I get to that point. So I had that in my mind. I hate hitting the wall in a marathon. I'm so afraid to do it. As you know, I wanted negative split. I wanted to keep my effort in check. I put my music on at the half and then I went to skip a song and I was like really feeling the music too. That like pepped me up. And then I went to skip a song and then it paused and then I hit the button again. I used the aftershocks, not shocks, aftershocks. I've had them for years because my shocks, anyway. So I went to skip it and then it paused and then I went to play and then it said calling most recent person. I was like, oh crap. So I was like hitting all these buttons and then the music just stopped. And I knew to get the music going again, I would have had to pull over, take out my phone. I was like, I wasn't willing to do that. So I went the race without music. Oh, well, again, another little thing that, these things happen. You're out there for like 3 to 4 hours. Those types of things are going to happen. So yeah, I saw my husband at the 12-kilometer mark. I was really happy about that. He was disappointed he didn't see me more. That was the only time he saw me. I didn't have the best outfit on for spectating. It was all black. So he was like, next time I need you to wear a neon hat because if I'm going to come all the way to Germany, like I want to see you race. So yeah, he was bummed about that. He was with Leanne's significant other. And then the finish, I was like, where's the start gate? I saw my watch was ticking along, and then I saw my pace start to because I kept watching like, oh, I'm on course to negative split, right? Like mile 16, mile 17, my average pace was reducing instead of increasing. And I got to mile 20 and then it started to increase a little bit. And I was like, okay. And at mile 20, like I was passing a bunch of people, but it got really congested and people were stopping and then I was having to like weave between people and that was tough. And then the last, maybe at mile 22, this guy behind me was coughing constantly and I couldn't shake him. And then his shoes were really noisy. And that's how I know I'm tired when stuff like that, I tune in on that stuff and it just bugs the crap out of me. And I was like, God dang it. I finally somehow lost him. And then I'm like, where's the gate? Where's the gate? And I hear my friend Nathan call my name. He's like, Tiffany. He freaking had a beer in his hand and his medal. He finished in like, I don't know, 3:13, I think. I was like, oh, okay. So then I look and there's the gate. And I was like, thank gosh. So I run to the gate. Much like Boston, after you get through the gate, you still have about 400 meters left. So I picked it up, and then I finished. I felt really good at the finish, unlike Boston this year, where I was like delirious. I felt like when I finished this race, the same way I felt when I finished Boston 23. My times were very similar. This I ran in a 3:56, Boston 23, I ran in 3:54. And both races, I wanted to have a good experience. I wanted to really keep my effort in tune, and I did that. So it was just nice to feel good at the finish. Frickin' Leanne finished in 3:33, which I knew that she would do really well. So I was happy for her. Yeah, let's see, finish. And I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. So I got my race poncho at the finish. You have to really weave through a lot of stuff to get what you need. That was kind of a pain. My husband and I established in advance where we would meet at the finish, and we met there at the finish. So found him very easily. Saw Leanne, saw her and her significant other there too. And so, yeah, it was great. And then we met up for dinner that night. We went to the TV, Dan and I went to the TV tower at night. So really just overall positive experience. Monday morning we left for Munich and went to Oktoberfest, which was also amazing. So great time overall. Highly recommend Berlin. It was great. I'm gonna be honest with you though, Germany, like I wouldn't go back. It was okay. In terms of like, I didn't really feel Berlin, it was hard for me to really see the city because I was so focused on the race and I really needed to rest up for the race. So again, I didn't want to be on my feet too much. So I didn't get to really see a lot of Berlin. Munich was fantastic. I liked Munich better. We stayed at a really nice hotel. It's called Adina. If you ever go to Munich after the Berlin Marathon, the Adina Hotel in Munich was really nice. It was, again, not in the hustle and bustle, in kind of like a modern part of town. Floor to ceiling windows. I could see the whole city. Really lovely little hotel. And then the hustle and bustle was just a train, one stop away. And then we went to Ulm, ULM, which was the birthplace of Einstein, but Leanne's brother owns a restaurant in Ulm. Funny enough, a Vietnamese restaurant. Leanne's Vietnamese, her brother owns a Vietnamese restaurant there. And that was so much fun. And Ulm is a really cute little town. I wish I could have spent more time there. So yeah, we got back yesterday and it was great. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Oh, my Achilles during the race, no problems at all. The morning of it felt really good. Right now, the next day it felt good. Right now it's sore again. I haven't ran in a week and it's sore. So 2025, I don't have any marathons. I'm not planning on running any marathons. I have a half in January in Palm Springs. It's like the women's half. And then I'm going to run another half. I'm going to race that. I want to really, my PR is a 148. I want to get that down. Then I'm going to do the Orange County half. Then in between, I'm just going to do 5s and 10Ks. I really want to work on speed. My PR is at 3:27, but that's on Rebel Big Bear, which is a downhill course. I'd like to get my flat marathon in like the 3:30 range. So going to do a lot of 5Ks, 10Ks, um, some halves, work on my speed. That's my goal for 25. I really don't want to run any marathon until I get my Achilles figured out. So right now I'm just going to do some strength training, really try to figure out what the source of that is. I thought it was the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, but I ditched those in, July and I'm still having issues. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do now. Just recover, relax, work on shorter stuff. I don't know, pay a little attention to my kids, start going to more of their games, pay a little more attention to work. And so I get very focused when I'm marathon training. It's really all I think about. It's like my priority. And yeah, I need to not have that as a priority for a while. So that's where I am. Anyway, I'm gonna run London in 26. So I'm gonna really try to get in. I'll probably have to go through a tour group. That's okay. I'll do that. But yeah, that's all I have on my plate right now is London 2026. I'm gonna do that with Leanne. So anyway, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. I hope you enjoyed this long recap, but I didn't want to leave anything out. So it's quite lengthy, but that's okay. I have a lot of videos and whatnot on See Lefty Run, my Instagram account. You can go look there if you want to see more of the city and what I did. I have a little reel that I posted. But other than that, yeah. So thank you. And maybe I'll see you soon. I don't know if I'm going to do another series or not. So we'll see. Have a great one. Bye.